Donald King is a vice president and business information security officer, BISO, specializing in AI, ML, and cloud risk within highly regulated enterprise environments. In his current role, he partners closely with business, risk, compliance, and technology leaders to embed security risk management into enterprise programs, products, and decision making. Donald is passionate about enabling teams to innovate securely and fostering a security and risk aware culture that supports sustainable business growth. Donald has also recently developed a platform for AI governance. This is the AI Governance Day in the Life series, and this is Donald King.
What was my why for getting into AI governance? I think my why was pretty simple. Like I was kind of already inherently in AI governance by my role in general. So I was a part of the governance. Obviously, I was part of security lead in the AI ML space. So I was doing threat models and Terraform reviews and that sort of thing, right? So I was in the weeds of finding the threats and all those things, which was great. It was fun work. It allowed me to just learn new technology a little faster because I need to understand them so I can actually identify some of these threats, right? Like, so that was great and getting my foundational knowledge. But after a while, you kind of like, it becomes repetitive. No matter what the system is, right? Like you're kind of identifying similar threats because, well, not similar threats, but you're kind of identifying, you kind of start seeing a pattern of threats, right? Some recurring threats that are happening with agentic systems, right? Whether that's what systems and models and agents and all those things, right? So that was kind of how I got into it. I kind of inherited that role, like just by accepting the role at the firm, which was great. It was something that I actually enjoyed doing. Again, it's just something that became over time something that was like, you know what, I want to do something different. And that kind of leads right to your next question was, um, why did I pivot into AI governance? Right, like I was already in it, right? Like when I took the role, I was already in it. But I wanted to have a broader impact on the governance of AI, right? And not just be the person performing a task, a part of the governance. That makes sense. So my current role, I'm a BISO TRC. So I'm a business information security officer for the technology risk and controls team. In the AI ML space. I know a mouthful. That's typically how all these roles work, right? It's always a mouthful. But what I love about my role is I'm no longer siloed, right, in my approach, right? Like I'm actually evaluating operator models. I'm looking for friction points. Um, in a lot of our governance processes. I'm doing root cause analysis. I'm doing risk assessments on products, right? I'm collaborating with different working groups, whether that's third third party team on vendor questionnaires, or if I'm working on a working group on onboarding a new product, right? Like I'm kind of all over the place, which is great because again, it gives me insight to different aspects of the business, right? And whereas my previous role, I wasn't able to see any of those things, right? I was real siloed it was really siloed, right? It was basic input output. Hey, here's a product. You give me the product. You give me the product. I got to do that model on or whatever I'm doing, and I give you back a report. Right here is more strategy driven, more conversation, more collaboration with a bunch of different teams. It's more connecting the dots. Some people who need to talk to about which process you need to follow. Right, like so I think that's a better fit for where I want to go with my career. So I think that was why I kind of pivoted into this governance space because I think it kind of set me up to kind of be at that kind of C-suite level. So that was kind of my driving force. And honestly, I just enjoy that work more. Like I enjoy talking to people, right? Great. It's great to understand the technology, right, and kind of like have those things. But I actually enjoy talking to people. And since my previous role, I didn't get a chance to talk much because again, I was very siloed. Hey, give me a thing, I go in my corner, go do my thing, and come back with a readout. Hey, here's what I did, right? Let's review it, and then I'll give the readout, yada yada. But this role is more collaborative, right? So I enjoy that more. Um, And that's kind of was my why into. I just want to have a bigger impact on just strategy and development of our AI governance program. So yeah, that was why I shifted into the AI governance space. I want to have a bigger impact on the risk and the governance of our systems. Yeah, that was kind of why I made that switch. Can I walk you through my day? Yeah, my day is pretty busy, man. It's at a minimum 4 to 5 meetings every day. Like, if I'm going to be honest, I'm at a minimum 4 meetings a day. So that's it. At a minimum 2 hours gone on just meetings, right? And now after every meeting, I take some notes, right? So then you chalk up. Say if I had 4 meetings, you chalk up and set aside another hour for just notes from those meetings that you got to kind of get together, so you're prepared for whatever's come next or the outcome of those meetings are, right? So that's just, let's say 3 hours of my 8 hour day is already going on meeting notes, meeting notes and then meetings, right? Then I might have some ad hoc meetings, which is like, that's always, it may not be an ad hoc meeting, it may be ad hoc questions. I might ping me on Teams. Hey Don, quick question. I need support with da. Can you help me with that? Oh yeah, you will go talk to this team and that team, and here's that process, yada. Or maybe some strategy. Hey, we come up with this use case, and we don't understand this process. This process doesn't work for us, right? Like, we keep getting blocked, and we're trying to deploy these systems, and we can't get to production because this thing is blocking us. They're a bottleneck, et cetera, et cetera. So now it's my job to kind of go do root cause analysis on that process, right? To figure out, is that process really blocked, right? Like, obviously it's blocked because it's saying it's blocked, but to kind of figure out why that process is being blocked, right? And kind of figure out a way to uplift that process to make the process just a better, make the process flow a little bit smoother, right? For not just only that specific LOB, but all LOBs that have to now, LOBs line of business, that have to now follow that process as well. So that's pretty exciting, man, because again, a lot of times when I'm doing the space, I may not even know the process myself just because I just haven't heard of the process, right? Again, I was very siloed in my approach before. So I think now just getting that exposure to all those different teams kind of gives me a different viewpoint. So bringing it back to my day-to-day, like, again, a couple hours in meetings, some ad hoc meetings may pop up, some ad hoc questions may pop up, and then I'm also working on things from the previous day that I kind of had to get done. Yeah, it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of talking. One thing I kind of pride myself on is always being able to take a lot of notes and just being prepared. So I have like a running OneNote of just things that I'm kind of working on. I think right now, as it sits, I have about like 20 things I'm kind of just simultaneously managing and trying to keep eyes on, right? So that fills my day up pretty fast. So even when I think, oh, it's gonna be a slow day today, I go back to my OneNote and find something on there that, hey, you didn't finish that up, right? Because you didn't have bandwidth to do it. So my days are pretty busy and just different. But I like busy and different, right? Like, because again, I remember I'm coming from a place where I was just doing the same thing routinely. So this change of pace, I think, is great, and it kind of aligns with what I want to do, right? So I'm finishing up my doctorate degree in strategic management at Liberty University. I'll actually be finished in May of 2027. So I'm not even gonna speak about it. I was supposed to be done December of this year, actually. But obviously, 4 kids, a wife, a regular job, building a platform, it was just a lot. So I couldn't really get into school, right? Like, so I'm like I had to like take a semester off, but now I'm finishing up. But to kind of bring that back, but all of those things, it was kind of hard to then still do school. So I kind of put school in the back end. Now I'm picking it back up. So yeah, but getting my doctorate degree in strategic management kind of aligns with where I wanted to be at in my career, right? Like, I wanted to be the one kind of driving the strategic initiatives around the AI space, right? So that's kind of why I pivoted into that, and that's kind of why my day-to-days are chaotic, because I kind of asked for it, which is good though. Again, like I enjoyed the chaos. At some point, as our team expands and our team continues to grow, we kind of define some of these processes, things will kind of die down, right? You'll naturally just be into a different a nice flow where everybody kind of understands how we should be operating and all those things. So I think right now, since it's so new, and I think I'm 3 months into the role, everything's so new that we're just still figuring it all out. Yeah. What are some of the challenges in the AI governance role? Interesting. I think, let me make sure I say this right. I think the biggest challenge is education, right? Education and misinformation, right? Because AI has created this urgency to just build fast and deploy fast, and this is just an industry standard thing. I have people in other companies that kind of having these same issues. It's just an industry problem because nobody actually knows, but everybody wants to use AI to speed up processes and automate things and be more productive and all of those things, which is great. But there's just there's a lack of governance around that, and that's in most of the ways, right? It's a new technology, right? So anytime there's new technology, obviously the laws, the controls, all things have to catch up to the technology. AI has been moving so fast, right? Like remember, models came, right? And then it was like, oh, we got models. This was great. Yeah. I got some chatbots. It was all great. Then agents came, like 6 months later or 8 months later, whatever it was, right? And then after agents came, then MCP servers came, right? So now you're introducing these new different technologies, and the governance just hasn't caught up to the first one, right? And so imagine trying to deploy that and get these things and run in your environment, and nobody understands the technology from the jump, right? So educating people on the technology, not obviously software engineers and cyber people want to understand it, but educating the business side on the risk that comes along with deploying these type of assets, right? Like that's a real thing. So I think the education part is a challenge, and also again, it just pressures. I think just pressures around people trying to get AI deployed inside their environment, so they can they can say, hey, we have AI in our technology, right? We're using the most advanced thing to kind of make our product better. People are kind of falling into those buzzwords, and that creates a problem with governance, right? Like, because you can't, if you're just ad hoc deploying things in your own little silo, right? It's going to be a problem, right? Like, but again, if you don't have governance around those things, how can you properly govern your systems, right? So I think that's been the biggest challenge is getting a consistent unified process for how you're deploying these things when things are rapidly changing, right? Like all the time. So yeah, I think that's been the biggest challenge. And I don't necessarily see it slowing down no time soon. I just think that people will become more educated, and as they become more educated, they'll understand the risk a little more. Outside of obviously us articulating the risk to them, but they understand it because they've kind of been going through it, right? So they kind of understand a little better. And I think once that kind of happens, it'll get a little easier from that perspective. Yeah. What is my advice to aspiring AI governance professionals? It's funny because I just gave one of my mentees. So I just gave one of my mentees. She's a veteran. She got into cyber about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And I literally just told her maybe last week, like, hey, start to understand. And I'll just give you the advice I gave her. Hey, start to understand how to articulate risks, not only from a technical perspective, but from a business perspective. Understand how to disposition findings from a threat model or risk assessment, right? Like, understand how to do a risk assessment. Understand how to do a root cause analysis, right? Like, some of these things you're gonna have to understand because a lot of what's going to happen, in my opinion, is a lot of these things are going to be automated, right? So I can go in AI right now, I can go in Claude right now, and say, hey, build me a risk assessment system that monitors or that assesses a system based off of these frameworks and these controls, yada yada, and it'll build me a system, and I can put architecture in there, and it'll give me output, right? Now I have to be able to contextualize that output and now articulate that output and translate that into a business perspective, and then be able to communicate that to my business stakeholders to say, hey, here's your risks and here's why these are your risks, right? And then that allows them to make decisions that they need to actually make, which is best for the business, right? So I think what I would tell anybody is to understand. I will lay it in a tiered approach. So one, understand models, agents, and MCP servers, understand that technology at its foundation and how it works, right? So then now you know how that technology works. So now when you're doing these risk assessments and root cause analysis and all those things, you actually understand the problem, right? You understand how our system is designed to work. So now when it's not and that it's not operating and it's not operating in that how it should, then you know what to call out. And because you know what to call out, now it's easier to translate that technical knowledge into business terms and risk terms. So I think that's what I would urge young people to understand. Because again, I think a lot of this stuff is going to be automated with AI. We're going to automate a lot of these processes, but you still have to be able to communicate with people and talk to people about these risks and why they're risks, right? And just not just say, hey, here's what the AI gave me, right? You have to be able to contextualize these things. Like context is important. So that's what I would work on as an aspiring professional looking to get into AI governance, because you're going to have to be able to. And one thing that just kind of came to mind, you're going to have to be able to speak in front of people. And I think that's one thing people just struggle with in general, getting comfortable with talking to senior leadership. I've never really had that problem. Even in my time in the military, like I would talk to sergeant majors, or I would talk to majors, right, or colonels, and just have regular conversations like they're just regular people, right? Because I didn't see rank, I just kind of saw them. And obviously, you respect the rank and you address them as who they are, but I just saw the people. So I would just have a regular conversation. Hey, sir, how's your day going? Right? How did you enjoy this week episode of Game of Thrones? Right? Or it's like again, that's just regular conversation. But if you have a problem with communicating with just senior leadership, I recommend taking some sort of like public speaking classes and just do some public speaking engagements. Like last year, I kind of signed. I haven't actually done any public speaking. So last year, I'm like, oh, you know what? I need to break that mold. So I went and I signed up for the Blackest Tech Conference last year, and I spoke about ethical AI on stage, and that was my first time speaking. I was also scheduled to speak at Afrotech, right, and kind of go speak there about responsible AI. But I ended up not making that due to just some scheduling issues. But public speaking, you'd be surprised how much that helps you when you're in those meetings with those 5 or 6 senior executives who want to hear what you have to say, right? Like, I think if you can kind of navigate that as well, like you'll be fine because you won't be as nervous. There's still gonna be some nerves there, but once it kind of starts flowing, I think you'll be fine. Yeah. So yeah, those 3 things: public speaking, so you won't be nervous when you're talking to stakeholders; understanding models, agents, and MCP servers, and all that technology from a foundational perspective, right? And then also understanding how to contextualize and articulate and translate that technical risk into business risk, and then be able to articulate that to your enterprise stakeholders. I think are the big things I would say you learn to just get not even learn, but just get comfortable with, right? Get comfortable with those things, so that way, when it does come, you are ready to kind of step into that role and not be so nervous. We're gonna be nervous, but not be so nervous, right? Like try to prepare as much as possible. Am I doing anything outside of my day to day? Yeah. I'm always busy, man. Like I said, so I'm finishing up my doctorate degree. We've done that in the end of December next year. I actually took a break because I was between work and school, and I got 4 kids, so 4 kids at home, so it's a lot, right? You got soccer practice, you got gymnastics, you have all these things. So you're trying to like find a way to kind of manage your time. But I found some time to kind of just step away. Except for the last 11 months, I've been building a platform called Ascend. Ascend is an AI governance and enforcement platform that pretty much monitors, assesses, and enforces policies for AI agents and NCP servers in real time. So like most tools kind of look at what AI says. We not only look at what AI says, but we also look at what AI actually does. So think of us as like middleware, right? So we kind of govern all your agent actions from end to end, right? And then we map them to frameworks, NIST, MITRE, and all those things. And what then happens is, excuse me, as your agent or spirit want to go take an action, it'll go through our risk scoring system, right? It goes through 4 different layers. It's prompt security. It's I'm sorry. Yeah, well, it's rate limiting. The first layer. The second layer is prompt security, and the third layer is code analysis, code generation analysis. So we're analyzing the output of analyzing the code the agent actually creating to make sure that there's no nothing embedded inside of that code, nothing malicious that's being generated. And then the fourth, which is kind of our big feature, which is our action level governance, right? So real time governance enforcement of agents and NSP servers. So anytime an agent, again, they'll go through the different 4 layers, but then the final layer is now after they did all of that, they want to go take an action. They want to go read a database. They want to go write to a database. They want to go make a trade transaction, right? Like, so those actions are governed depending on where you are. So, but depending on how your agent is configured, because every agent is configurable. Like you'll register your agent in our registry, and then you can configure it a certain way. Once it's configured, then depending on that agent action, it'll go through our risk scoring system. It'll get assigned a risk score if it's within a certain tier. Then it will be approved, or it's auto approved, or it'll be stopped for human review, or it's going to be running at all, right? So I spent about the last 9 to 11 months building it. A lot of long nights, a lot of back and forth with the family about my time being spent right in the basement, right? Because obviously I got my 9 to 5, and then after 9 to 5, you got kids from like 5 to 8:30, and then from about 10 to about 2 in the morning every day, I was kind of just head down, just working. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working on. I officially did launch the product in April. I officially did launch the product in January 23rd of this year. And we are live and taking on pilots, and we're also looking for design partners, looking for people to kind of come test the product out, give us some feedback, find some bugs, hey, break the thing, right? Like, so we can make sure that it's actually fully functional. Obviously, it was tested out, but still, obviously, different environments. You want to test in different environments, kind of see how it reacts. But yeah, that's kind of what we're working on. Ascend is the governance enforcement platform for AI agent and SP servers, with real-time governance and enforcement at the action layer, and not just assessing what agents do after the fact. Oh man, so I do want to say thank you for taking time to interview me. This has been great. I haven't done a podcast in, oh my God, I haven't done a podcast in some years. It's been a while. So I did a few podcasts. So this was great. Thank you for having me. Again, you can find me on LinkedIn at Donald King. I'm on LinkedIn. That's pretty. Oh, and then the website to Ascend is ascendowkai.com. That's Ascend, ASCENDOWKAI.com. If you just Google Ascend OW-KAI, it'll pop up in Google. There's the marketing site there. You can kind of see exactly what the product actually does, what we offer. You can sign up for a demo there, and then somebody will reach out to you and schedule a setup so you can kind of check the platform out.
In a world ruled by code and quiet decisions behind bright screens, one question cuts through the noise. Whose values shape the systems that shape your day? Who watches the watchers? Who writes the rules they obey? Welcome to the AI governance. Day in the life series where power has a process and every choice has a cost. Step inside the meetings, the midnight model checks, the hard calls between speed and safety. This is the AI governance day in the life series. Real stakes, real people right here. Listen close. Decisions are being made, either with you or for you.